You know I will. Come here.
Sexual assault is funny? I am Brandon Scott Jensen. I am a year-old, Gnostic, bisexual, polyamorous, bear cub, working on becoming a muscle cub, comic book artist and script supervisor, and I am obstreperous as f***. This is me ranting about one, or more, of my more than 3,000 DVDs and BluRays, my thoughts, a look at some of the extra stuff you may have skipped, and sometimes exclusive behind-the-scenes stuff, because I work in film, I know people, and I want a reason for this show. So stay tuned. As these are movies that I own, it may be mostly a big love fest. Mostly. I'd love to hear your thoughts about which of these thousands of films I should rant about. But if I don't own it, it's probably not happening. That said, let's do this. In 1930, Sinking in the Bathtub was released alongside the now lost film The Song of the Flame, as the first ever Looney Tunes cartoon. It was also the first publicly released non-Disney cartoon to have a pre-recorded soundtrack. As time went on, Warner Brothers made stars out of the cartoon characters featured in these shorts. Although not the original star Bosco, he was largely forgotten for reasons. Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig, and a host of others, however, would go on to be household names. They had hundreds of shorts under their collective belts. Over 1,000 were made, with more than 6 decades of material to reference and that same amount of character to build on. This wacky group of anthropomorphic animals, with a few humans, and at least one alien, were set to make their feature-length debut in the 90s after a successful commercial starring the most popular Looney Tune, Bugs Bunny, and basketball superstar Michael Jordan. A full-length movie was a chance for Warners to build on their legacy and develop these characters beyond their short-form selves, possibly get insight into their world and what makes them who they are. They had recently cameoed in the Disney, Touchstone, live-action animated hybrid, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. But executives seemed to be fixated on this Super Bowl commercial and the sequel as the basis for this movie. So, in 1996, Warner Brothers shat out Space Jam. Why is it called Space Jam? Is that a basketball term? It's not really an animation term. Oh god, it's so bad. Thank you for watching. Bye now. Okay, that wasn't a rant. This is a rant. To be clear, this movie was only ever going to exist based on that commercial. I wasn't trying to say that they even considered making a full-length theatrical film that wasn't going to star Michael Jordan. I'm just saying there was so much potential that was completely squandered on this abomination of a film. The thing is, I own 3,000 movies, or so, right? 3,000, and out of the blue, I decided I wanted to rant about this movie. And, I mean, I own many films I don't like, just for the sake of completing collections, Disney movies, DreamWorks movies, etc. But knowing that I wanted to keep these rants about movies that I own, even though I've already broken that rule a couple of times, I looked for Space Jam. And apparently I hated it so much that I had previously never bought it. I kind of figured I would do Looney Tunes Back in Action instead. I mean, the animation was way better, so there was at least that. Or maybe I'd do Bah Humduck. That was actually a lot of fun, but really I wanted to do Space Jam, so I just went out to Target and spent $5 so that I could do this rant. Join my Patreon. I mean, since most people who like this film probably haven't seen it since before they could get into a PG-13 movie, let's recap what passes for a plot real quick. I'm gonna try to blast through this. Michael Jordan, starring as himself, wanted to be a basketball player ever since he was a kid, and apparently he always had this dream of then going on to play baseball, so he does. Meanwhile, there's this theme park in outer space, and Danny DeVito, also starring as himself, owns it and wants better attraction. He magically sees Looney Tunes on all his TVs for no apparent reason and sends 5 bumbling misfits off to capture them. They find them, threaten them, and then Bugs, in a really out-of-character moment, tricks them. I'm not saying it's out of character to trick them. It's very in character for that. But it's extremely out of character to be so pedestrian in his method, into allowing them to defend themselves. Since they're short, they challenge them to play basketball, even though they themselves have literally never played or even familiar with the rules. But the little dwarf thingies magically steal 5 basketball players' talents. How do they do this? It doesn't matter. Shut up. Give in to your nostalgia. Now faced with this new challenge, the Toons decide they will steal a live-action player. And who better than a guy who recently retired and is playing a completely different game? They bring Michael in by stealing him from a golf game, in front of Bill Murray and another basketball player, I think? Larry Bird is his name. Both of whom really take it in stride. And he very quickly adapts to his situation. But he needs his lucky underwear and shoes. Better send Bugs and Daffy to get them so we can have some cartoon in the real world antics. And by the by, don't tell them where your shit is. Make them go look for it. Makes sense. Anyway, they get this, and also we meet the worst character ever to have been introduced to Looney Tunes franchise. And I say worst not because I have anything against gender diversity, also see my fucking comic book, but the worst because we are given no information about her other than she's a feminist. I guess, because she doesn't like to be called Doll.
Doll? Don't ever call me Doll.
Also, she's decent at basketball, so she's on the team. This is Token Girl Bunny, totally not there to make sure that Bugs has boner jokes and retcon him as no homo. Anyway, with his underwear and Token Girl Bunny now in tow, it's time to play some basketball! Hilarious hijinks ensue on the court with no rules being followed at any given moment, but after everyone except Bugs, Daffy, Token, and Michael injured, you know, now there's rules to follow, and they need one more character to play, or they forfeit or something. Why not his assistant, Wayne Cat, also playing himself? Probably. But oh no, he's injured too, so now it's up to Bill Murray. Yes, also playing himself, out of left field, with a really stupid joke to cover it. Now they play some more, and Michael Jordan cheats and grows his arms because he can do that, I guess, and he realized it within a few seconds, just in time to win! In fact, other than the opening scene where young Michael sinks basket after basket, Michael is never shown with any success at sports without cheating. Oh, also other than the opening and closing montages. An umpire tells him what pitches are being thrown, though, to be fair, he doesn't use these cheats and is humiliated. Bugs uses a golf ball magnet, I guess, to give him a hole-in-one, and then cartoon logic allows him to stretch his arm and make the winning basket. So, yay! Winning! They win, Michael makes the opposing team give back the basketball player's talent, and Michael decides he wants to play basketball again. The end. Honestly, watching this movie was a chore. I feel nothing for it. There's no point of it even existing, especially as a story. No one learns anything, no one grows as a character or as a person, or as a cartoon character for that matter. One animator talked to me, and I don't know if I had permission to use his name, so let's just say that he spent his entire time on this movie animating test footage that would never be seen, because even after they filmed all of the live-action footage, they still didn't know what the movie was gonna be about. On a positive note, Jerry Rees, animation supervisor, did have this to say to me.
When my agent got in touch to say that I was being asked to join the production, he described it this way. They're about 7 weeks out from cameras rolling and don't have a story reel. Basically, you're jumping on the back of a bull. Are you in? The intensity of the production really was like riding a bull, and there was definitely some gratuitous ball busting that added unnecessary stress. But I was glad to answer the call to help out, got to jam with some really talented people, and was able to nudge story, character, and staging along day by day. I'm good with that.
I guess I can't say nothing happens. Michael does arbitrarily decide to be a basketball player again. Maybe helping the Looney Tunes is what made him decide this? But Why? Because he now understands cartoon logic? The implication can't be that he'll use it to win games. It's established that he has a natural talent. Was he ever accused of cheating in real life? Why did they do that? Also, in order to give Bugs a character, he now has not Babs Bunny as a girlfriend. Well, girlfriend. So he's definitely not queer, everybody. Except for, making out with Michael Jordan. Also, forgot to mention that another animator that I know, Andreas Wessel-Thurhorn, he animated some of the more memorable scenes of Lola. And not a fan of the character, but a big fan of the animation. Well done, Andreas. And he saves her from being squashed by getting squashed himself, but it's been established for 66 fucking years plus that no physical harm occurs even to live action people in the cartoon world. So Bugs saving Lola is such an incredibly limp gesture, which only serves to prop him up to hero status so that he can sexually assault her in the end. But it's okay because she's into it. Maybe Bugs heard that an R. Kelly song was going to be playing over every emotional part of this film, so he figured it would be okay. And while yes, that is a jab at R. Kelly,
Fuck pedophiles.
it's also a jab at Warner Brothers' curious decision to credit Bugs Bunny in the opening titles and poster playing himself.
Though fortunately, Billy West is properly credited as his voice actor.
There is a lot of great voice work done in this film, I will say that. Mel Blanc, who had been the voice of virtually all of the Looney Tunes characters for decades, had passed away only 5 years before. So, Jerry Rees told me this.
Our talented voice actors really studied the original characters to push for their full range. Their purpose wasn't just to sound like the character's voice, but to perform all the shadings of personality and mood. They worked so well during ensemble recording sessions, playing off each other. And Danny just swaggered in and ate up the place with his powerhouse smackhammer voice.
But also, there are so many people playing themselves in this movie that it had to be repeatedly noted at the time that actors were brought in to play Michael Jordan's wife and children. And honestly, I'm a little sorry to be picking on Michael Jordan, who, from what I've seen, seems to be a pretty nice person, but you signed a contract to be the lead actor playing yourself in a multi-million-dollar feature film, so you're fair game. Also, you made him build a damn basketball court on set so that you could stay practiced. Bit of a diva move, bro. Michael Jordan is not Bob Hoskins. Starring in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Bob Hoskins was an actor so dedicated to his craft that he developed hallucinations, and in his own words, went a bit mad. Michael Jordan, he showed up, obviously, and God love him, he tried, I guess. But he's not an actor, he's a sports ball player, and it shows a lot. But to be fair, the director was, he was an experienced commercial director. He directed the original commercial that inspired this piece of shit, but at this point he had directed one movie that no one had ever heard of and never directed another feature film again. Shocking. A couple of minor notes before I forget. The film was scored by James Newton Howard, who is a brilliant composer. And it's curious to me that it sounds very similar to something that David Newman, another brilliant and humble, I met David Newman, he is so kind to his fans, composer would have done. I also think this movie started my hate affair with Bill Murray. Before this, I really liked most of the things he had done. Since this film, I have pretty much hated everything he has done. The thing is, this film is not without talent, as I've stated. There are some really great people involved in this movie, but even though these people are responsible for the vast majority of the picture, most of their names are shoved to the very, very back. I mean, yes, Jerry Rees, who is a brilliant animation director, gets his supervisor credit in the opening. Go him. Great guy. Some others like Bruce Smith, Tony Cervone, David Spafford, Alison Abete, they get their early credits. Yay! As I mentioned, the voice actors are mostly a joy to hear, especially June Foray, who even after this movie and until her death was the only voice of Granny. Loved her. But then, after crediting every human being who had ever wandered onto the set, real quick though, as a script supervisor, why was the scriptie here credited as just Morgan? Did they not want their full name attached? Is this like a pseudonym, like Alan Smithy? I should ask my union about this, because there are definitely some films that I could have used a pseudonym. Anyway, after crediting everyone right down to the green screen coordinator, then we get the animators who are just lumped in rows of 3. Get them in, get them out. This was years after Disney features had been crediting animators with a bit more prestige. But screw them, all they did was draw 90% of this film. They're lucky they even get a credit, damn it! This movie is... it's such a hot mess. And don't tell me how it was meant for kids, so it doesn't matter. Most of my DVDs are so-called kids movies, then I can assure you that great films aimed at children can and often are produced. There was potential here. Hell, even in a couple of themes that are brushed away, you have a black man stepping up to stop a group of characters from being enslaved. These characters are basically immortal, so while they can't be physically harmed, eternal enslavement should scare them, which it does? This might be hashtag too dark or hashtag too deep for Looney Tunes, but it wasn't even subtext, no world building, nothing to care about. Some people may remember it with nostalgic goggles, and that's fine. When I was a wee laddie, there was reruns of this old show called Land of the Lost, and years later I tried to watch it as an adult. My world shattered. It was horrendous. Same thing with Voltron. Now, I have never had any nostalgic love for Space Jam. I saw it in theaters, and even back then, I thought one good joke about Bugs and Daffy being screwed out of merchandise money does not a good film make. On this viewing, I didn't even laugh at that joke. I tried to watch it with an open mind, but it's just terrible. Hate on me if you wish, but if you haven't seen it since you were a kid and you don't want your world shattered, don't watch it as an adult. It will just make you yearn for the days before all of us when a possibly racist caricature named Bosco started it all. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Consider becoming a Patreon to keep the show going. It starts at just $1 a month. My first patron is Craig Butler, so he gets shout-outs on all videos. I will shout you out if you want to contribute as low as $1 a month. Just go to the link in the description below. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.